Hi, welcome to the tutorial for creating emails through TrueMailer. What I want to cover today is several things. I want to cover how to use your media library to store your images and upload them. I want to teach you how to upload your mailing lists and then go through and actually send out an email along with how the reporting will look. So the first thing we want to go over is images. The reason I'm doing it in this order as far as images, then mailing lists, is because when you're going through the process of creating your email, it's a lot easier workflow to already have your images in a stored location as well as the list that you actually want to mail to. So if you go under Tools and go under Library, this is going to be your media library where you can actually host up to 25 megabytes of images that you use regularly. You can actually organize them into folders. You can create new folders. So for this one here, let's just call it October mailing, since we are going into October. And what we're going to do is add that folder there. Now you can take any of the images and organize them. You can actually use that to drag and drop into the appropriate folder. You can upload your own images by clicking on the Upload Images button. And you can upload any kind of GIF or JPEG images that you may have and want to store. The other thing to point out is that we do have a gallery of images that you can use that are royalty free, and you can actually search for whatever term you may want to look for. If you want candles, you can search for candles, and what it's going to do is pull up any images that actually have to do with candles. Here you can see there's 26 pages, and we're just going to go ahead and choose one of these. You have different sizes. You have a small and a large. For email marketing, I recommend using the small images because they're going to be a lower file size, and it's also going to actually help to render easily in email clients when your recipients actually get the emails. So as you can see, it's added it into our media library, and you're going to have that option when you create your email. The next item we're going to cover is your mailing list, how to actually upload your lists. So if you click on the list icon there, it brings you into all of your lists here. We're going to go ahead and click on New List. The first thing you actually want to do is go ahead and name your list. So again, let's stick to October mailing, just so that we can keep consistency. If you want to describe what the list is about, who they're going to, maybe a certain market that you're targeting, you can actually do that as well. You have three options underneath that. You can create a new list one member at a time. So if you have a small list where you don't want to organize them into a CSV or a TXT file, you can insert their information one person at a time. Most people, however, have an external file that's going to be a CSV or TXT, and they're going to choose this option here. What we're going to do is actually browse for the information, and there's my CSV file. And the other option you're going to have here is to create a list by importing list members from a web-based email client like Gmail, AOL, or Yahoo, or Hotmail. As you can see, it's Gmail, Hotmail, and Yahoo. So let's go ahead and do the external file. We're just going to go ahead and select the file and click on Next. What this is going to do is it's going to bring us to a page where we need to identify those fields that are in your mailing lists. When you're uploading a list, you may have your fields titled, email address, or first name. However, the system isn't automatically always going to recognize that those are the correct fields to use. So here's where you're actually going to match it up and tell it to use those specific email addresses. So you want to look at the example it gives you here. You can tell that those are email addresses. Here you can actually tell that these are the first names, so it automatically populates that. If it gets to a section that it doesn't actually know, it's going to ask you to either not import that field, or you can actually choose a new custom field. When you choose a new custom field, you can actually give it a name, and it actually tells you how long the characters are going to be for that field. When you're done verifying all the information here, you have the option to either import newer data, or you can preserve the older data. A lot of times with your lists, you may have somebody, for example, who actually got married and changed their last name. their email address stays the same. So what you want to do is actually import the newer data. Because basically Shirley Smith could actually now be Shirley Jones, and you've updated your mailing list, and you want to import the newer information, keeping the email address the way it is. When you click Next, it's actually going to go ahead and tell you that it already has an occupation field that exists. That was for the custom field. So what we're going to do is go back here and actually look for that field. If the field wasn't in there already, it would automatically add that as a new field. So let's go ahead and continue on. Here's where it's going to actually upload the list. It's going to tell you the results. It's going to tell you if any of them get rejected. It gives you an option to download the ones that are rejected, and it tells you why. In this case, we have duplicate records, which means you have the same email address in the same file, and it's scrubbing the duplicate out of there. Improperly formatted email addresses are going to usually mean that you don't have the ampersand in there for your email address, or there's something that's not quite right for that email address. We can go ahead now and we can see that we have 19 members in the account and 17 total unique email addresses to mail to. Let's go ahead and just view those list members just to show you what it looks like. Here you have all of the email addresses. You can choose to do 25 per page. You can actually change that to be 100 per page. Now when we click on lists, what we're going to do is we're going to see all of the lists again. And there we are, October mailing. It tells you how many are in the list. It tells you when the last time it was mailed. Up here you can see the master list. The master list is actually going to be everything that's in these sub-lists, but scrubbing all the duplicates out, so it gives you unique records. One record for each contact that you have. So let's go ahead and create your email. You want to click on emails. It tells you any drafts that you have, and you'll notice that you have a tab here that says sent emails. This shows the emails that went out. It gives you a quick synopsis of the reporting that's gone through, how many opens you have, how many bounces, clicks. We can also get to new email from here, but you can also do that from the drafts. So let's go through the creation process of an email. We're going to click on New Email, and this is going to bring us to the setup page. For the setup page, you're going to go ahead and name the email what you want to name it, and we're going to do October mailing. Who's the from label? Let's do True Presence, and the subject line. Subject line you want to make sure that is going to be between 40 and 50 characters. Any more than that, you could do that, but what's going to happen is a lot of people, when they receive it to their inbox, if the subject line is too long, they're probably not going to read it, or it's going to dissuade them from actually looking at it further. So you want something in your subject line that's going to capture their interest. You also want to make sure that it's going to be relevant to what the content of your email is. So let's go ahead and choose a subject line. We have a great sale going on. This is going to be 35 characters. It could be under, it could be over, but the best is going to still be between 40 and 50 characters. It's going to bring up your unsubscribe information. If you don't want to put unsubscribe and you want to change it to remove me or leave this list, you'll have the option of updating that as well. And what it'll do, it'll update the actual unsubscribe information. Now the postal address is actually going to be required by the canned spam laws. So basically what you want to do is make sure that you have a valid mailing address in there. Once you have all of that in there, you can actually go ahead and click Next, and what it does is it brings you into our editing options. These are our different tools that we have available to create your email. We have the wizard tool over here, which is basically the simplest and easiest to use. It doesn't give you a lot of tools for formatting. It won't give you the access to the HTML code, but what it does do is actually give you drag and drop so that you can actually drag over articles or select the type of content you want and easily input it into your email. If you want something that's going to have more design tools, you may want to choose the email canvas. The email canvas is going to be a WYSIWYG editor, meaning what you see is what you get. And what it's going to do is actually give you the option to access the HTML code if you need to, while also giving you a graphical editor to build your email. So if you have HTML that you use but you don't know HTML, you can use that to drop your HTML code in there and then work on it in a graphical view. That's the one we're going to actually demo today. Freeform HTML is strictly an HTML editor. It's going to actually give you the option to just drop your code in there, work in the code. If you have an HTML coder on your team who knows HTML really well, they can use that to actually write it by hand. The text only is going to be a plain text editor. It doesn't have any formatting, doesn't have any HTML. A lot of times that's used for transactional emails. Keep in mind when you're using the text only, if you're looking to look at open rates cannot be tracked through the text only method. Basically, in order to track an open rate, what we need to do is actually have an HTML version with a transparent image, and we place a cookie in that transparent image so that when somebody downloads their images, then the cookie is triggered and an open rate is actually shown. So let's go ahead and select the email canvas. Click on next. It's going to bring up our tools. You'll see it's basically blank right here. Compose your email here. If you want to use one of our templates, we have over 700 templates to use. So you can actually click on select templates and it's going to bring it up based on category. If you're in education or real estate or bar or hospitality industry, you can click on one of these options and it brings up the different templates for that. We do have several holiday templates available as well. We also have a template of the month. We have various options for you to choose from. Let's go ahead and just wait for that to come up. And it's just going to take a moment here. If you ever have to go back and you want to see or start over, you can click on your drafts there and it'll bring you back to your draft folder. And what that'll do is it'll allow you to actually go back into your email. Right now it looks like we're actually I'm actually having a little bit of trouble here with the software staying in there, and we'll go back into the October mailing to get started on that again. So we're back at the beginning here. We're going to go ahead and select a template. It's just going to take a moment here. It'll give you a preview over on the right hand side of what the template's going to look like. We're just going to go ahead and select that one there. And it pulls it right over. You'll see the tab there where you can click on to actually get into the HTML code. So if you want to modify it by HTML, you can. Here's going to be the tools that you're going to use to create your actual emails. We have several options here. We have a paste from Word. So if you do a lot of copying from a Microsoft Word document, Microsoft Word will add several extra HTML lines based on content that it looks for its documents. A lot of times it's not needed in HTML, and what it can do is it can cause a lot of problems with rendering. If you've ever looked at a web page and seen strange Arabic characters, a lot of times that happens because they've actually used Word to actually copy text over into their website. What we want to do is try to avoid that, and we want your emails to look nice and clean. So you want to make sure that you use the paste from Word format there. You basically just click on it, copy and paste your text into there, and it'll strip it of a lot of the extra code that Microsoft puts in there. So basically, in order to use these tools, it's kind of like any other editing software. You have your bold, italic, underline, strike through, and what you can do is just highlight your text and click on whichever icon you want. You can bold it, you can italicize it, strike through. Here you have the options to add tables, and you can actually control the actual table cells. If you want to insert your own images, basically you can insert images anywhere. what we're going to do is actually use the one that we actually loaded into our library, and we're going to put that at the very front. You actually can click on the holder spaces here for images, and you can actually change the images as well there. If you come in here, it'll give you the option to change the image, and you have three options. You can upload it to from your computer, you can upload it from your media library, which is where we're hosting it, and then if you have the URL, you can choose that option as well. Let's go into the library where we downloaded the images from the stock gallery, and it's going to pull up your images here. There's the one for candles that we used before, and we're going to go ahead and just click on the image. It's going to show you the image over here with a sample of how the text is going to look around it, and you can choose the alignment of how you want the text to look with that image. Generally we have it on the left, so let's go ahead and save that like that. And there's our image in the email itself. If you want to adjust the size of it, you can click on it, and you'll notice the border around it with the little boxes. What you can do is hold the corner and just drag that in and resize that image to the size you want. You have the option of creating hyperlinks. So say you want to actually go ahead and you want to put something, make a link to your website. We can go ahead and we can click on here, and we can go ahead and type, click here to view our web page. What you want to do is highlight the text that you want to make into a hyperlink. You can click on the little chain link icon, and then you can add your hyperlink there. You can do www.mypage.com, and you click OK. The other thing I want to show you is the link type. It automatically defaults to a URL. However, you can also do an email address. So if you're using an email address and you want to say, hey, email me if you want this item, or if you want, if you have questions that you need answered, you can actually automatically put your email address, and basically what's going to happen is you can automate what the subject line says or what the body of that email is. So when they click on that link, their email is going to open to a new message to be sent to that email address. It's automatically going to have the subject line and automatically going to have the body in there. Let's go ahead and cancel out of there, and we'll go ahead and just insert that URL like I mentioned, just so you can see how the hyperlink looks. And you'll see it's blue here now. So there are some of the options. You have the options of using bullet points. You can number those bullet points if you want. Let's go ahead and just change these to numbers, and we can click on there, and there you go. Several things to look for too. We have an eraser tool here, which is going to actually remove the format. So let's just take the top part here where we made in bold, and what I'll do is I'll just erase the format there. So if you do find that you're having trouble maybe with something that's you're trying to bold and it's not working right, the best thing to do is actually use the remove format method, and that should remove all the formatting so that you can do what you want. And of course you can actually use your fonts. You can change it to whatever font you want. We have several available here. You can choose your size. You can color your text if you want. If you want it to be red, you can do that as well, and you can highlight. So basically what it does is it highlights that text. Now over here you have insert. This is where you can actually insert merge fields if you want to personalize the email to say, dear first name. What you can do is you can insert that here. Let's go ahead and insert the first name. Half the time it's actually going to be, let's go ahead and we'll try it right here. We're going to type dear, and then we're going to actually insert first name. Now remember, you do have to have the first name in your mailing list in order for it to pull it over. But what if a list doesn't have the first name there? What you can do is actually set a default value. And if you don't have the person's first name, you can actually have it automatically insert a different set of text. So for those, you may have, Dear John, Dear Mary. For those that don't have the first name, it's going to come up Dear Customer. So let's go ahead and actually save this and go on to the next step. You can also, just to show you real quick, you can change the alignment of your text within the box. And now we're on to the preview step. Basically, it's going to show you what the email is going to look like so that you can actually look it over, see how it looks, and you want to make sure that you're actually previewing both the HTML version and the text version. Now the text version is going to also go out as one file with the HTML. And the reason it does this, a lot of spam filters will actually look for that type of file format just in case there's potential for spam or a virus. What it looks for is actually a safe version that it could possibly put through in case their spam filters actually are set up very high and actually will catch any HTML. It'll have a text version to put through. And what that also does is it allows them to receive one version of your email. Now less than 3% are actually going to receive the text-only version. 97% will receive the HTML. You do want to make sure that you preview both of them, and if you have something that you want to change in the text version, you can always go back to the Design tab and then click on the text version link here. Now the Generate Text Version automatically checkbox is automatically going to be checked. In order to actually change anything, you do want to actually uncheck that, and then you can actually change the text version. Let's go back to the preview real quick. So it tells you that you've done this, you've previewed the HTML, you've previewed the text version. Now what you want to do is send a sample test to yourself. You can actually create lists here. They'll appear under the drop down. You can add a new list. You can change the email address in here, and it'll give you the email address to actually send to. You do need to actually send a test in order to move to the next step. Now that we've actually sent a test, we can actually click Next, and what it's going to do is bring us to our mailing lists. Here you'll see the different lists that we have in the account, and we're going to choose the October mailing. We're going to go ahead and click on Next, and this is going to bring us to the launch page. Right now what it's doing is checking through to make sure that everything was done, all the steps were completed, and it gives you the rundown. It tells me that my original list had 7 members. This email will be sent to 7 members. It tells you how many you have in there, if you have the ability to send it, and once you've actually completed that, you can hit send. This is actually going to go through our approval process. Somebody is going to look at this to make sure that it complies with the canned spam laws and also with our terms and conditions. After it's sent, you can go under the sent emails and you can look at it there. You'll see this one here is pending approval still. I'm going to go ahead and actually unlaunch that. Let's just say you have a situation where you really need to change something real quick. You've hit send and you need to actually fix something before sending it. We can go ahead and cancel the launch there. Once we've actually canceled it, I'm going to go back under the sent emails for you so I can actually show you what an email campaign and the reporting will look like. Let's go into this one here. So what the reporting is actually going to show you is it's going to show you several things. It's going to show you graphs on how many people open, click, bounce. It'll show you from hour to hour within the first 12 hours, or you can change it to 6, first day. It goes up to 2 weeks because after 2 weeks, generally that's the end of an email marketing campaign. Most people after 2 weeks won't look at the email, or they'll just delete it because they haven't checked their email in a long time. What it'll do is it'll tell you what links were most popular in there, and that way you can actually tell which links are working on your website, where people are being directed, things like that. It gives you a lot of good information on top clicks. If you want to actually download and see who's opening it, who's clicking on those links, you have the option over here to actually download those links too. You can create a new mailing list if you want to. Say you want to follow up with somebody who opens your email. You want to say, you want to send a thank you email for opening and looking at your material. You can do that as well. Or let's say you want to target people who haven't opened it or clicked and they haven't responded and you can't see anything. You can actually create a mailing list of your non-responders as well. This way you can actually send an email to them, engaging them a little bit more. Down here it tells you if you had more than one list, it would tell you which list performs better. You may be doing a test market to customers in one area versus customers in another. It'll actually give you the top lists. And then at the very bottom it gives you the campaigns to actually compare, emails side by side. One of the benefits of comparing emails is you can look at the day and the time that it was sent. If it was sent on a Tuesday at 7 p.m. and it got tremendous results versus one that you sent on a Saturday at 8 o'clock in the morning, you can actually see that to help you get the most out of your marketing. The other thing you want to be able to know is that you can actually view the email that was sent out. We're going to go ahead and click on this one here just to kind of give you an idea. This was the one that actually was sent out on that day. The other thing to look here is the reports. You can click on this and what it does is it gives you a breakdown of what we just looked at. You can do all events and see the opens, clicks, bounces, or you can choose just specific ones that you want. You can see the clicks and the links, and that's going to give you a rundown of the links that were in the email, which ones were clicked on the most, what the click-through rate is. You can look at the list mailed, and then often a lot of times I will recommend looking at the domains, because what that can do is actually tell you how many was sent. If you have a high bounce rate and you're finding a certain domain isn't going through, here's where you can go to see maybe this business has all email marketing blocked. You're wondering why you have a high bounce rate. Well, a lot of times this can tell you. So let's go back to the home tab. Basically the home tab is going to give you a rundown of everything that's going on right now in your account. It gives you a list of your drafts that you have. It gives you a list of your reporting, ones that were sent out. It gives you a list of your lists that can be mailed to. You also have a recycle bin over here, and what that will do is if you delete an email or delete a list, you can actually retrieve that from the recycle bin. The only thing you won't be able to retrieve from a recycle bin is if you delete list members or mailing lists from the account as a whole. So if you choose to remove recipients from your account completely, unfortunately they're not going to end up in the recycle bin. The other thing to notice is your account. Your account here gives you your information right down to where you're located, your industry. It gives you the email address for your login. You could see the account activity, what was sent versus the email credits that you've used, and we can also go under the analytics settings if you want to use Google Analytics. If you do run into questions and need additional help, we do have a help page here with frequently asked questions. And if you can't find this information here, what you can do also is go to the very bottom of the page where it says need help, and you click on that and it gives you our support information. Our support is available from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific time, Monday through Friday. You can call us or chat in with our chat support, or you can send an email. You do have access to our VIP support team, so the email address that you want to send to is going to be vip@verticalresponse.com. This actually concludes the training demo for email marketing through TrueMailer. If you do have questions, we encourage you to give us a call or contact us, let us know. We're always here to help and we're happy to do so. Thank you very much.